them. Well, I'll have to tell you, Chris, I feel like this is such a timely power up, and I'm so glad we're doing it just because, it's so easy in this market. Many people's businesses are down, and that's okay. And some are up, and that's good. But mindset, I think the power behind it is everything in this business. And if you can get your mind right, that's 80% of the battle. So
100%.
appreciate you being here and being able to talk into that for us.
Yeah. I'm just saying to KW Elevate, thank you.
Oh, yes. So is this some of your new digs?
This is it's still a work in progress and we're getting there.
Love it. I need to pop up there and see it.
Yeah, please do. So since we're on the topic of mindset, one of the reasons I did Tommy Boy behind us, so hopefully you guys are all familiar with that, who's on the call, is to remind myself just to have fun and not take life too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at that, it's a good reminder of all that. I was debating on putting all kinds of like positive quotes or something powerful behind there. And I'm like, as much as I love that stuff, I think it's important to still have fun and not take everything too serious. So
I agree 100%.
So I know you might have some questions or want to dive in. So before we do that, there's a poem I want to read that kind of can maybe lead us into the mindset conversation. So I'm going to read this. I'll read it twice because sometimes it takes 2 times to really let it set in and think about it. So I'll just start. So here it is. In joy, he is not overjoyed. In sorrow, he is not oversorrowed. And lets goodness comes when it will, and when it will depart. And lets darkness come when it will, and when it will depart. He is a stranger, a journeyer in the midst of the quality of nature. Just as all the rivers and the streams of the earth pour into the ocean, but leave the ocean as it is found, never overflowing its bounds. The yogi, the whole world pours into the portal of his senses and leaves it as it has found him, untouched. This is the state of equanimity. It's a lot. I can read it again and feel free to come off Zoom too. Like, what does that mean to some of you? Or what do you interpret that? How do you interpret that? And if you want me to read it again, I will.
Something I took from that is, and maybe I will have you read it again, but first time through, something I took away was it all ends up being okay. Like it all works itself out in the end.
Yeah.
Like it's all always there and it's all always okay. We're going to see darkness. We're going to see lightness. There's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times and hard times and successful times. And, just like the moon goes through phases, so do we. And it will all always work itself out as well.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you pretty much nailed it. And I think the only thing that you were missing there is you're going to have all these life experiences, these emotions that come in to try to disrupt or alter your state of being. And what the poem is saying is it's okay for those things to come in and to experience them. And just like the water pours into the ocean and leaves the ocean untouched, is it's trying to say is just let those things flow through you, not to touch you or disturb or disrupt you. So still experience it all, and yet let it flow through.
That's huge. That might be my favorite part from it.
Yeah. So it's a challenge for everybody. It's something we have to work on all day, every day, right? And it comes down to your mindset is how you're interacting with the outside world and the inner world. So
that's huge. Can I ask you, Chris, what you do? I mean, I know being a bold coach like automatically puts you in the positive mindset realm, but what do you do on the daily to keep your mindset where it should be?
Yeah. And again, all this is a work in progress. I don't want to sit here and say I'm doing all this stuff at a high level or perfectly. And I went on this mindset journey a couple years back, and meditation has been the one thing that's really helped ground me for every single day. And there's some days I don't do it every single day, and I know when I haven't done it because I feel off.
Mhm.
And like right now, I'm in one of those like patterns where I haven't been doing it consistently. So it's like I know I need to get back on track with it. And yet, when I am meditating every single day, like the what that does for your mindset and just like I said, keeping you grounded and releasing a lot of any of the stress that's happening on the day to day is just it's magical.
Mhm.
So, if any of you have done meditation or haven't, I would highly, highly encourage it. I got certified in transcendental meditation about 3 years ago, and that was just life altering. So
That's awesome. And I
yeah,
would also tell, because I'm sure I'm not alone here in the real estate world, if you're in sales, that you probably have more of like an ADHD mindset. I like legit do. And I'd always be like, I can't meditate. Like my mind is just too busy. I try, I don't know how to do it. And I had a meditation coach tell me one time, like, Jill, you can be sitting in the car and what do I smell? What do I see? Like just quieting your mind and asking those simple questions, like that is meditating in itself.
yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, pure silence for 10 minutes and your eyes closed and a thought can't come in. Thoughts will always come in. It's being able to just set that aside for a second and go back to what you're focusing on.
So my biggest aha is, well, there's a ton of different types of meditation and ways to do it, and yet they're all very similar. So the one misconception is that we're not supposed to have thoughts running through our head during meditation, when in actuality, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to let those thoughts come through because that's actually stress releasing itself through your mind. Now, we
Uh-huh.
sometimes when we're in meditation, we go down a rabbit hole with those thoughts and then realize that we're like way off in la la land. So we always need something to ground us and pull us back, whether that's our breath, whether that's a mantra, whether that's just counting. I mean, it can be anything. And once you kind of are able to build that awareness when you are off track to pull yourself back, that's when you start having more success with it and you can get deeper into it. Um, but thoughts are okay. Like that's what's supposed to happen. That just means you have a lot going on and it's all trying to release itself.
Mhm.
And
Even
we
you
all,
saying that's okay and that's supposed to happen makes me feel like, okay, I
yeah,
am normal.
yeah. So,
Now, let's talk about, since we're having a conversation around mindset,
mhm.
maybe some limiting beliefs, I would call it, in this market. And let me like throw a few situations at you and how can we shift our mind in that circumstance.
Yeah.
One of them is I'm hearing from so many people like I'm doing the activities I'm supposed to do and I'm still not seeing results right now. Tell me how we can shift our mindset in that situation.
Well, first and foremost, there's two things we can control, right?
Mhm.
Mindset and action. So aside from that, we have no control over the market. We have no control over buyers or sellers, co-brokes, or anything else that's happening right now, right? So we can control our mindset and action. If an agent came to me and said, I'm doing all the activities and yet I'm not seeing results, then I would ask, well, let's dive into those activities. Are you tracking your numbers? How many conversations are you having? Who are you having those conversations with? To really get a better understanding if the activities you are doing are purposeful enough to get the results that you want. So
Mhm.
that's where I would start is asking those questions. Um, and just know that this market is a little different. So it might take, instead of 30 contacts to set an appointment, it may take 50 to 60 contacts to set an appointment.
Mhm.
So if you're doing lead generation, which we all should be doing, you will see results if the right activities are being done
Yes. I've
consistent.
heard, I think in a bold room, action breeds reaction.
Right.
Is that what the saying is?
Um, action, no. It's close. I can't think of what it actually is
Or
though.
action breeds activity, or action breeds. And the point behind it, whatever it is even if you don't get immediate results, like maybe I have a goal of I'm going to connect to 5 co-broke agents today, and any I did talk to were like, screw you, and hang up the phone. The point of that saying is even doing the activities will, oh, maybe activities breed results. That might be
Yes.
it. Um,
Yes.
but just keeping your head down, like go for no, because you just, the more people you talk to, you will get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100. Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more. And I think we try to do too much sometimes where like you're going from 0 to 100 in a week, and that really discourages people and even myself. Like if you're doing zero lead generation and then you're like, okay, I'm going to talk to 100 people this week, and you talk to 40, well, hey, give yourself a pat on the back because that's
Yes.
progress, and it's progress over perfection. It's not let's go out and hit 100 contacts for contact's sake. It's hitting 100 contacts for contracts, right? So we want to make sure we're being purposeful behind the people we're actually talking to. And if you didn't make any calls or contacts last week and then you did even 20 this week, that's progress. And you're going to start seeing results if you consistently do that.
I agree. I think people will hear, oh, so and so, like they lead gen and reach out to 30 people a day or 100 a week. That's a lot. And think
Yeah.
about it, like look at where your business is right now. If you're not doing any lead gen, which it's okay, you're not alone. There's probably a lot of agents who aren't doing a ton of lead gen. If you're not, start at square one. Like if it's 0, 1 a day, and then next week double it to 2 a day, and then the next week 3 a day. And I also think too, I actually just spoke to an agent about this a little earlier today. And I would encourage you, if you're on the phone and thinking like I'm doing all the activities and that I'm supposed to do and it's not breeding results,
Yeah.
cold calling is not the only form of lead generation. And we
No.
all have our own superpower in this business. So, what actually brings you joy? Some people are great at social media. Some people are great on the phone. Some people are great at just nurturing their database and the people they're already in relationship with. So, like, take some time to reflect back and realize what you are good at, what you're passionate about. And I think that can help you in your lead gen efforts.
Yeah, and I think that's so true with everybody is don't think that just for sale by owners and expireds, like you have to call them. You don't. Yes, is that probably one of the best spots for immediate business? It is. And yet, I mean, personally, I don't like doing it. I do it every now and then. And I usually get a couple appointments and listings or buyers off of it. Yet I don't enjoy it. I enjoy connecting with my database. I enjoy doing client events. I enjoy uh, um, what's the other thing? Social media stuff. So like those are the things that I focus my lead gen efforts on to continuously get business. I was on a call with Jen Davis, VP of Maps, the other day, and when the conversation her and I were having was, what's the one thing that we should be focusing on right now? And the one thing is our database. So over every and all things that are out there, our database will yield the highest return if communicated with the correct way, right? A minimum of 36 touch. We're making phone calls or we're communicating with them via text, one-on-one conversation, something along those natures. And having a database goal. How many people to add to the database this week? How many people to add it this month, this year, to start yielding more results from it? So, uh, and that's what I'm telling anybody I'm talking to. Like, if they ask me where should I focus my efforts, it's database. And as a team, that's where all of our efforts are focused on right now. Majority of them.
Chris, I have to tell you, I have heard people talk about database I mean, we hear about it all the time, yet you just, you know how like one of those things where you hear it, you hear it, you hear it, and then it's like somebody hit you on the head. Um, I just had that when you talked about a database goal and how many people you're going to add to it a day, or how many people, where is there a gap? Maybe there's a gap in your follow-up. So maybe that goal is around how many am I following up with a day? That just was like light bulb to me. So thank you.
Yeah. So we have a goal to add 10,000 people to our database by the end of next year.
That's amazing.
So it's daunting. It's big. So it's getting us to think differently and have a different mindset around it of how we can add that many people to our database. Now, let's say we're converting at a low rate, 1 or 2%, and we add 10,000. I mean, that's over 100 deals right there.
Yeah.
Okay. And now what if we're communicating with them at a higher conversion rate, 4 or 5%? What did we just do? Without having to do the cold call. I mean, there's still going to be calling involved, yet is that going to be for sale by owners and expireds, or the stuff we really don't want to do?
Exactly.
So just thinking differently about how to work smarter and not harder. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what we're focused on.
I love that so much. What about shifting gears a little bit is mindset around, I mean, this could be a whole power up in itself, but just the work-life balance. And I think many of us on the call are parents, or if you're not parents, like everyone has a busy life outside of real estate.
Yeah.
And that can be daunting as well, because we have to put in the efforts to get the results. Yet you also have to put it where it counts too on the personal side. And what would you add? Anything, any advice around the work-life balance, mindset around it, what we should do?
Well, if you have a partner, having that conversation with them, what roles are you playing with family? Who's responsible for what? Time blocking your work life and your personal life. And when I say time blocking, it's like, and Yatra and I do this a lot with balancing our schedules and the kids' schedules because it's crazy. I mean, it's nonstop go, 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 go. Like done with work, home, sports, dinner, practices, then repeat the next day. Like it's nonstop. So what we're what we have implemented is just like identifying like, okay, well, who's responsible for what stuff with the kids? Identifying our goals for the business, who's responsible for what in the business, and then we're time blocking all that. Like we're sharing all of our stuff in our calendar so we know who's where and what at what time. Are we perfect? No, some stuff gets missed, and yet we're way better than what we were. And it's improving every day. And then just doing that counterbalance. When you're at work, be all in at work. If you're time blocking for lead generation for 2 hours, be all in. Tell everybody what you're doing, communicate it with family, people in the office, whatever the case may be, wherever you're doing that, and be all in with it. And then when you're at home and you're on kid duty or you're with your spouse or whatever the case may be, you're all in on that and you don't have the other distractions. So we talk about, can you have a balanced life? And Gary says in the one thing that living a balanced life is a lie, right? It's a
Yeah,
counterbalancing effect.
that's super, super true. I am trying to see, oops, nope, I didn't mean to take a screenshot. Sorry, can you guys still see me?
Yeah, we can see you. I can see you.
Okay, well, I can't see you guys, so um, great. Cancel. There we go. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to add to the chat. We actually just did this at our advance on Friday with the leadership team of all three market centers. And then I've done it a few years ago with my MAPS coach. And it is something I did with my husband, Brian, that was game changing. And it's called, I don't know if you know it from MAPS, but it's like your 10-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
And it asks you all these questions about, how old are you? Who are you living with? Who, like essentially just like things we don't even think about.
Right.
And I will tell you, I actually, even though I've already done this with Brian, I came home on Friday, and I started crying again, like, oh my gosh, in 10 years. It was such an eye opener for me because I feel like I run around like a chicken with my head cut off at times. And it made me realize in 10 years, our three children, we might be down to one in the house because our
Yeah.
oldest two are going to be in college. Like that 10 years is not that long. And um, I think prioritizing what was helpful about that exercise is personal, like being in line with your personal life, I think can help really fuel business. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it does. And being able to, it's funny, oftentimes people, I grew up like I wasn't super money driven. I grew up very middle, not, we weren't starving, and we also didn't have any of the finer things. And you grow up in this comfortability, and almost in a way you feel bad to make money, and or you're not worthy of it, or you don't need that much, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera. And sometimes aligning with these personal goals and what you can do, and the life you can give your kids, or what you can give back, or like that really starts to motivate what's important to you and what your why is, and understanding that, I think really floods into your business.
Yeah, I love that. And what I'm realizing right now is there's so many different things we could talk about with mindset. Uh, and playing off of what you just talked about is we just did this exercise at the goal setting retreat where we had to write our someday goals, whether that was 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, and really be specific about everything that happened, how old your kids are, where they're at in life, where you're at in life, what have you achieved, what do you have, what have you been earning, what do the last 10, 15 years look like? And when you really put thought into that and get specific behind it, it starts putting things in perspective for where you're at now. And it's like, okay, well, you start working backwards. One of the other things we did after that is we did our core values,
Yes.
and we discovered what each of our core values were before we even wrote out our 1 and 5 year goals, to make sure that what our goals were are in alignment with our core values. Because now it makes it easier to say yes and no to things. Well, it's like, okay, well, that's not in alignment with my core values or our core values, so should it even be on there?
That's
And I
so
actually have to go
true.
back. There's one that I don't know if it's a value. I just don't know if it's a core value that I got to go back and play around with. So
And of course I can't find this tenure. So let me ask you this. Could you give anybody, I want to say Jay Shetty has, like, if you Google Jay Shetty core values, or maybe if the One Thing has them as one of like the free tools or resources on their website, would
mhm.
you have any recommendations of where people can go to find core value, thought
Yeah, I
provoking,
mean,
to at least figure it out?
I'm sure you can find it or Google a list of core values on Google. I think
Mm-hmm.
these are 10 or 15 bucks if you wanted the disc, because this is kind of cool having the cards and then actually laying them out and categorizing them and then narrowing it down. It's a fun activity. So if anybody wants to come up and use them, I don't have a problem with that.
I'll be up in 5.
So uh, yeah, I would just and have that conversation if it's there's somebody else in the household, even with your kids, it's a fun activity
Mhm.
to get them understanding what their core values are.
That's
Uh,
huge.
and overall, this all helps with mindset and mind shift uh, of how we're making decisions. Because every day, whether we think we are or aren't, we're making decisions. If we choose not to make a decision, that's a decision. So when this is clear, the core values, the decisions become easier.
100%. I heard one of Shonda Rhimes' speeches one time. And if you don't know who Shonda Rhimes is, she's like, name the amazing uh, show, whether it's Grey's Anatomy or what else has she done? Scandal. I mean, all of the good like ABC shows are Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah.
And they asked, she did a commencement speech, and she said, people ask me all the time, how do I do it all? And the answer is, I don't. When you see me winning an Emmy, I probably missed my son's Halloween party. Or when you see me at my kid's production, my numbers might be down, or I might be behind on what I'm writing, etc. And I think that floods into core values. Like either one is okay. And we have, again, kind of that poem in the beginning, we all have phases of what phase we're in life.
Yeah,
Um, and there's no right or wrong, but understanding what your core values are in that moment, I think can help be a decision maker for you.
absolutely. Yeah. And again, the one thing that's always stuck out with for me that Gary said once, uh, and he talks about this in Quantum Leap, is he was interviewing a guy, and the guy, he asked him where the guy was, and he's like, I'm on the beach with my family because I'm making up for lost time or missed time with my kids. And Gary's like, well, you can't make up time you've missed. That's done. That's gone. If you weren't at the birthday party, you're not in the photo, you know. If you weren't at the baseball game, you weren't at the baseball game. You can't make up for that. And
Yeah,
that's something that really stuck with me is like, what are you willing to miss and not miss? What's important to you when you're making these decisions? Because when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to the other thing.
100%. I heard somebody say recently, whether it was Jay or Gary or Jason or one of them, said, you need to realize every time you're on the phone and we tell our kids like 1 more minute, and they come to you like, mom, dad, whatever, like they have something very important to tell you
Mhm.
that they're so excited about. And like 1 more minute, I'm on the phone, or don't interrupt me, I'm on the phone.
Yeah,
Who's going to remember that more? The person you're on the phone with that you said, excuse me, it sounds like there's something really important my child has to tell me, or your kid not giving them the attention when they need. So that was like, ooh, that one got me.
probably all guilty of that. I know I am.
Without a doubt. Well, Chris, I know we're coming up on our half hour, but if there is
Yes.
anything you could leave people with and mindset going into this different market in 2024, what would it be?
Well, I think so. There's a lot around mindset. I mean, we can change the way we look at everything, right? Change the
Mhm.
way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think that's so important moving into this market because there's so much stuff out of our control right now. So all we can control is our mindset and activity.
Yep.
So get into the right action, have the right mindset around it. Don't let all these other things persuade you or your change your goals really. Like you should still be moving forward, right? And if there's a time where we have to pivot, I think we'll all be pivoting together.
Yes.
Um, so that's one thing. The other thing is like as far as mindset goes, like there's so many different things about mindset that there's so many different ways to look at it, I should say. So one of the ways is just, and I hear a lot of people saying, just staying positive in the moment, staying positive, not letting these bad thoughts or negative thoughts interfere or interact. And that's great. I think that's step one. I think step two is if you want to take it to a deeper level, really get and understand who you are, what your why is, what your core values are, and being or becoming the person you choose to be in the next 12 months. So, who do you really want to be? And if you take that to a deeper level, then it's really, and I know I'm going to lose people here, is understanding the difference between the outside world and the inner world, living the 200% life, 100% outer, 100% inner. And then that just takes it to a whole nother level,
I love it so much.
whole nother conversation.
But it's so good. Well, Chris, we thank you so much for popping on to be with us on this super important subject. If you're on, keep an eye out for the calendar. Chris and I are going to be doing a GPS and 411 workshop for going into
Mhm.
2024. That is a must attend class. We'll probably have a virtual option as well if you need. And a way to set up your 2024. So thank you so much, Darlene. Thank you for the
Thanks,
nice,
everybody.
nice compliment.
Thanks,
Have a great
Jill.
day, y'all.
See you guys.
Bye.